school board elections are happening all over the country, here in New York, and right here in our town of Wallkill. We have a few school systems here. We have the city of Middletown, we have Pine Bush, and I believe Minisink school system and Goshen school system are all part of our township. And we're going to talk a little bit about those elections coming up this Tuesday, May 19th. But before we get started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Click that bell so you get notified when we go live on Tuesday nights for our live stream. And leave us a comment about this video. We love to hear from you. So let's get into it. Neil, you had a video you wanted to play, and just tell us a little bit about what you want to show us, and let's get started.
So, it's funny because we all get it to this time of year, and it's like voting on the budget in the school board, and your friends are like out there going like, "Hey, vote for this guy, vote for that guy," right? And you know, you don't know. First of all, you don't know what their political affiliation is because they don't tell you what their political affiliation is. You don't get that from school board, right? School board is you have 4 seats available or 3 seats available. You have 6
Right.
people running, and it's sort of like almost like ranked choice voting, which is great, right? But it forces you to actually do some work. And the only work you got really is you go on Facebook and you see, oh, well, I got these friends saying I should vote for these guys, and I have these friends
Right.
saying I should vote for these guys. But you have no idea what their positions are. And so I want to share with everybody a video, all right, that I think is important, that I really want everybody to see and sort of understand what your school board does. Okay, your school board is more than just managing money. It really manages what your students can learn. It manages, like, there are a lot of things that they're involved in. So this comes out of Watertown, okay? And this is a school board meeting in which a music piece that was being done by the local concert band, okay? Now, the concert band decided that they were going to pick a piece. Now we got to remember, this is concert band, so there's no like lyrics to this at all. It's all
Right.
like
It's all instrumental.
it's all instrumental. It's classical music, type of classical music. So the band teacher picked a piece that was written during the Stonewall riots. Okay, and very LGBTQ community. Basically, when this came out, right, when the teacher decided to do this, he sent a letter home to each of the parents saying, listen, I understand that some people might find this piece of music controversial, okay, because it is related to the LGBT community. And so therefore, I'm giving you the option to opt out of your child doing this piece. Okay. All right. A letter went home to all the parents. The parents all knew about this, yada, yada, yada. Right. And the parents were like, we don't care. We love our kids. We want to be inclusive.
Wow. Very good.
Let's go forward with the piece. So the students, you got to remember, these students spend all year. I know my kid is in band. These students spend all year preparing for this concert, right? Preparing for the one concert when they get to show their stuff. Okay. And so what I'm going to show you is the school board, right, fighting with the community because the school board now has taken up, right, now that the concert's right around the corner, a week away. And remember, a lot of these school board members don't even go to this shit, okay, decided to ban the piece.
A meeting that turned into a screaming match. The Watertown School Board doubled down and in a 7-1 vote decided to remove a piece of music from the spring concert that's days away.
This is a perfect example of what everyone sitting at this table ran on, which was ending indoctrination in the classrooms, and ending radical curriculum.
The board said it violates their controversial issues policy by, quote, indoctrinating kids and endorsing violence. They also placed blame on the band director's intentions.
Political violence is not something we praise with music or song.
I do think everybody in this room has a right to be appalled, but it's at your music teacher.
The piece at the center of this controversy is titled A Mother of a Revolution. It was written to honor the legacy of a transgender activist named Marsha Johnson and the 1969 Stonewall Uprising, which was a series of protests led by LGBTQ plus people in response to a police raid in New York. Before the decision was made, parents, students, and musicians pleaded to let the music play.
It's a band piece with no lyrics that is very technically challenging. And we have worked so hard for months.
Multiple students who took the stand were emotional, saying it feels like the LGBTQ plus community as a whole is being rejected.
I don't think you guys understand how hard it is to listen to you guys not acceptance, because I know what it's like to not be accepted.
Parents spoke up for the band instructor, who followed a board policy by giving students and families the chance to opt themselves out from performing the song if they thought it was controversial. That letter was sent back in October.
That should have been the end of the story.
Despite dozens protesting, the school board voted to remove the piece of music from the concert. After the meeting, reporters were told to wait for members to ask further questions. I got no answers. Are you guys going to be watching the performance at all? Are you going to see the performance, sir? Are you going to watch the performance, sir? Are you guys going to talk about your decision on this, why you made this decision? No? Is there any way I could grab you for a comment on this at all? No comment. Are you sure you don't want to talk about this decision? Are you going to see the spring performance? You're not going to see it? The spring concert is May 18th. The high school symphony still has other music to perform, but A Mother of a Revolution won't be allowed on the program. In Watertown, Meryl Hubbard, TMJ4 News.
So, wow.
So we
absolutely
have
agenda driven. We see this
Right.
now. We see this. It's becoming the norm now.
right. And so now the reason why I brought this video up and the reason why we're talking about this today is that school board elections are occurring on Tuesday this week, right? So that's the 19th. You get to go out and vote for your school board members as well as your school budget. I recommend to everybody to go out and vote for the school budget. This year, I think they did a great job in trying to keep taxes low and providing, more services to the students. Obviously we want as, much, extracurricular, and we want as many programs as we can that benefit our children. But when it comes to the school board members, again, all you're being told is, oh, well, I'm friends with this guy, so vote for him.
Right. Right.
Okay. And I guarantee you, this is what happened on this school board, right?
Right.
People voted for these people, not because of their ideological agenda, right? But they voted for them because they were their neighbors and they thought they were good people. And then all of a sudden they go and do something like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
They went completely against the will of those students and the will of their families.
Right.
No,
because it's
nobody
ideology.
spoke out against it. Yeah, nobody spoke out against it
Right.
until the board members did. And it just kind of shows you, we're seeing this more and more and more. And school boards is a major target of these types of ideological agendas. We've seen that
Right.
Across the country.
And so we have our school board. So here in the city of Middletown, right, Town of Wallkill, which is the city of Middletown school district, which is the school district I'm in, right, and we have Pine Bush school. We have 5 different school districts in our municipality.
So I left one off.
Right? But we, for my part anyway, I have to vote in the Middletown school district one.
Me too.
We have 6 people running for what amounts to 3 board seats. And all I'm going to say is a number of them have been very, very political. Okay. And it gives me pause that they are so political, especially given that they seem to be political, leaning towards the right ideology. And, listen, those people may be your friends, but my kid goes to that school, and I don't want political right-wing ideology taught in the school district. I mean, they have great programs there. I mean, one of the programs that they have is they have a class on the Holocaust, right? If you put in place a bunch of Holocaust deniers, does that class even happen anymore?
Yeah, that's a good question. Very
Right?
good question.
We need. All I ask is that people, really research who they're voting for, okay,
Yeah.
and understand what they're voting for, because, this election, I'm gonna say, I am really struggling with who to vote for because of exactly that. You know, there's been very little, all I see are endorsements. But I have not heard one thing from any of them about what they stand for, why they're out there promoting Republican right-wing ideology, and how that's going to impact their stance as a school board member. I mean,
And the
we went
curriculum, that impacts the
right,
curriculum.
right. And listen, we had Moms of Liberty endorse 2 people on the school board way back in the day, right? And they were very ideological. There were things that we could definitely need and utilize, and they wanted to turn away grants that help disabled people,
Yeah.
like the state was giving money to help disabled people, and they were like, no, we don't want that. We don't want to help.
Wow.
They had an ideology that was very anti-DEI. Even before the whole Trump got rid of it. I mean, you've got to remember there was a movement to getting rid of it.
Right. There was a movement happening behind the scenes. And this is what
Right.
this falls back to everything we have spoken about since early on in this podcast, is that everything happens locally on the ground level here in your community, and
Yes.
then works its way up. We wouldn't have a Trump if we were really engaged in what was happening in our communities, what's happening in our backyard. And understand that when you have these really these ideological political beliefs, it it, it goes and changes policy and education for your kids, and how they grow up and what their views of the world will be. And I mean, I'll never forget, just to kind of sidebar here, being in my social studies class in like the 10th grade. And the teacher, I don't know why he did it, but he was a creationist. And he started giving us his scientific background in believing in creationism versus the Big Bang and how Earth was developed. And I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with social studies? What does this have to do with history? Other than you're now bringing your religious ideology into what you're teaching us. And yeah, I didn't. I picked as a 15-year-old, I might have even been ninth grade. No, I think it was 10th grade. So I was 15 years old, maybe, and I immediately picked up on that and was not comfortable with it. So
Listen, I was the same thing. I was in 9th grade, and that was my first, you get these reading assignments, and I was given a book by an American author. And listen, the author is very well known, but the author is also very well known for being a Christian author and writing Christian books. Okay.
right,
And it was on, the approved list, and I'm not for banning books. Listen, it's a worthwhile book, but the religious imagery in the book was very disconcerting to me.
yeah,
Okay. To the point where I had to bring it up to other teachers that for me, it, it was very uncomfortable. And a lot of it really stemmed from the fact is, when you're given a book as right, not to get into to religion, but when you're given a book as a Jewish individual, right, that's filled with Christian imagery, right, you're not going to get half of it because you didn't go to school, you didn't go to Christian school, you didn't go to those religious schools. You went to religious schools for your religion, and it really puts you at a disadvantage when you're like, I don't. That's not the imagery I'm getting out of it because I don't see it. And then when you're told you're wrong, and that you have to, and again, it goes to the teacher, partly the teacher and how they teach, right, and what they teach and stuff like that. But it that type of indoctrination is just really disconcerting for a lot of kids. And our job is to educate kids, and I think the
Yes.
class could have been taught a different way. I think the religious imagery could have been handled a different way than the teacher did when I was there. As I said, it making me uncomfortable. And again, I went to the Middletown school district, so
Right.
I know it really was uncomfortable back then getting that. I'm hoping that things have changed. I believe things have changed a lot since I was there, but now again, this is school board elections. My expectation is my hope is that people will really learn who they're voting for. I mean, we're at a time when you have the federal government cutting grants, cutting programs, cutting DEI. You can't do anything with DEI anymore, right? And here we are in, a diversified school district,
Very
right?
diversified. Middletown, city
Right.
Middletown.
In the Middletown school district. So, you know, I have very big pause now, that people are going to come in and bring their political ideological views into the school board. And I don't want to see that.
Right. They should be just talking about, education for kids, programs that benefit kids, sports programs, how to appropriate funds to, I don't know, get newer desks, better water system, cleaning up the bathrooms,
Well,
maybe mowing the lawns for the field. They should not be making decisions to block a song piece from just a basic song piece about a history. It is history that happened. And well, because it has to do with LGBTQ, it's indoctrination on your part, which there's no words. It was an instrumental piece. That's it. So there was nothing to indoctrinate. There was nothing there. It was just music.
but again, you're talking books, you're talking music, you're talking extracurricular activities. There's a lot to unpack in your local school board, especially as it relates to the kids. And, going on this idea, right? Because I asked somebody and they said, well, these people are really, have the best interest of the kids at heart, right? Somebody told me that when I asked them. I said, well, tell me about these individuals. They said, well, they have the best. Again, I go to,
What's the interest?
what does that mean? Right? Because
Yeah.
there is no doubt in my mind that a lot of these people on the right, there's no doubt in my mind that those people on the school board believed that what they were doing was in the best interest of the children, right? Whether you and I agree with that decision or not is a different story, right? We view it differently. But there is no doubt that the people on that board believed what they believed.
Yeah.
You see
But
what I'm saying? So we
yes.
have to make sure that we're very clear. I don't want to hear about well, they believe or they're dedicated to the students. I want to know what their beliefs are and why they're running for school board.
And what's more important here is that regardless of beliefs, your interest, you should not be applying your personal opinions about LGBTQ or whatever it is. You should be secular and focusing on just the children's education. And so, yeah, that's a travesty what happened there. It really is. And the fact of the matter is that this was given to a vote to the public, to the kids that were performing
Yeah.
and their families. And they didn't care. They were all for it. The board made a unilateral decision against the voice of the school, of the students. Like that's and you know what? We see that. We see that happening now, even at the national level.
And so we have 6 people running for 3 positions on the Middletown School Board, and I'm going to say I have issues with 4 of the 6 people.
4? You started with 3. Now we're at 4?
Yeah, 4 of the 6 people. So it's, and 2 of the people I don't know at all. So it's I have a lot of concerns, and again, I have a kid that goes to the school. So
let me ask you a question.
it's concerning.
How many people overall are on that board?
9, I think.
9. Okay, so this would be a third of the board.
Or maybe it's more than that. Could be more than that.
You know what? I could look that up. The enlarged city school district consists of 9. You were right the first time.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So this is a third of the board seats that are available. Excuse me. How long are these terms for?
Don't know. Don't remember.
know.
I think it's a third is up every year. So I think like 3 people are up every year.
And so ultimately it winds up being a 3-year term for those that get voted in.
I believe so.
And here's the thing, like even myself, you'd be surprised how very, very few people vote for school boards. Like we don't even know half the time that, when those elections are up. But that's for this Tuesday, May 19th. And it's across the country. This is school boards everywhere. And so now is the time to find out who's running on your boards, what they're aligned with, what their plans are. If you can, I bet you a lot of them are out. Today is Sunday, May 17th. Maybe they're out and about talking to people, or at least you can leave some questions on their Facebook. They all have platforms. Many of them do. And find out what they represent.
It represents a significant part of your property taxes, is your school taxes, right? The idea of these people that you're voting for are managing, right? Again, I go with the school. It's the same thing. They're managing that money, to sit there and to just check a box without understanding or knowing what that person brings to the table, is very concerning, especially when we talk about money. Does the person have the ability to ask questions? Do they ask questions? Are they inquisitive? Do they want to learn? And I can tell you, I know for a fact that 2 of those board members, 2 people running, they're not that, they don't, they're political, ideological, that's who they are.
And that's in the large city school district of the city of Middletown. All right.
But remember to go out and vote for a school board in Pine Bush, Minisink, Goshen, right? Goshen, Middletown.
Who's the other one? You said there's 5.
Valley Central.
It is Valley Central. So that's parts that covers part of Montgomery, right? Yeah. So Valley Central School District.
So make sure you go out, you vote for a school board, and make sure you vote for your budget.
There you go. Excuse me. All right, folks. Thanks so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, leave them below. And as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Click that bell so you get notified when new videos drop and when we go live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. All right, we'll see you soon, guys. We love you. Take care.
Peace out.